Welcome to the Motor City. Just across the river from Canada, it's downtown Detroit, the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix weekend. IndyCar coming up at 12:30 on Fox. Now it's Indy NXT by Firestone. 20 cars are gridded, drivers are strapped in. It's just about time to go.
Here to give the command to start engines, your Grand Marshal for the Indy NXT by Firestone Detroit Grand Prix, Commercial President of Down Mobility Science, Jennifer Kempf.
Drivers, start your engines!
Welcome to June. Welcome to race day in Detroit. I'm Kevin Lee, that's Jack Harvey, and this is Tony Kanaan, the team principal at Arrow McLaren, former Indy Lights champ. Now it's Indy NXT. He's won here on the city streets just a couple of miles away before, not only in Indy Lights, but also in IndyCar. So, Tony, you have gone through this. You had to win back in the day to get to IndyCar. What's this like for these young drivers? What's the pressure?
Oh, pressure's on, right? Everybody's watching. We're watching. The teams are watching. It's after the 500, it starts that time of the year that you're trying to decide what you're going to do next with your drivers. Some contracts are up, so this is a lot of pressure. New racing, you have IndyCar teams in Indy NXT, so we're getting evaluations, and we're always watching as a team. I'm always watching the young upcomers to see if there is anybody there that we can, take a peek and hire in the future.
Jack, as we see the Firestone starting grid on the left side of our screen, what are the challenges of this concrete canyon?
Honestly, right now, temperature, trying to get tire temp is going to be so important for all the drivers today. The restarts, starts. I would say this is one of them moments where you've got to let the race kind of come to you whilst trying to force the issue at the same time.
All right, let's find out more about what we can expect today and hear from one of those participating just a few moments ago with Georgia Henneberry.
Max Taylor is going to roll off third today. Max, you have two incredibly fast cars in front of you, but you start third with also a fast race car. How can you plan to get in front of them?
Yeah, absolutely. The HMD boys have given me a really quick race car, as we've shown this weekend. So it's going to be I think the start is going to be really important. It's not the easiest to overtake around here, it looks like. So getting a good jump into turn 3 there is going to be really important to find the gap and make a move if possible. But besides that, I'm just full confidence in the car and just pretty chilled out, excited to see how the race is going to turn out.
And speaking of this race car, you have the Susan G. Komen livery. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to be representing the Susan G. Komen Foundation. I think it's the biggest breast cancer charity in the world. So it's such a privilege to be able to help this cause and do what I can. And it's such a prominent issue, but I'm really happy that I'm able to, do my part.
We'll see what the 17-year-old Max Taylor can do from third today.
Jack, he has been mighty impressive so far. This is just his second weekend, and he has been quick in just about every session.
I think he's been P3 in every session. So, I mean, really, at the right side of the, or front side of the grid there, he's 17 years old. When I was 17, I was still racing in Formula BMW, hadn't even transitioned into Formula 3 yet. So what he's doing on a bumpy street circuit in a car that's more powerful than probably what he's used to, I think is really, really impressive.
What were you doing at 17, TK?
It's a long time ago, Kevin. You're asking tough questions, but I was actually in Italy doing Formula 3 at the time. So, here I think Taylor is in the best spot on the grid right now. With the long straightaway, I'm not sure I wanted to be in the front row. I know it's a difficult track to pass, but it's going to be tricky to see what's going to happen in turn 3, which is turn 1 after the start. But
so it's Andretti teammates on the front row. They're also 1-2 in the championship and pretty tight. How do they approach this, Jack?
Well, actually, my question is more so going to be for TK. From a driver's perspective, first rule of racing, beat your teammate. From a team principal's perspective, I imagine the first rule of racing is don't crash into your teammate. So what would your advice be to the front row right now?
I would say don't hit each other, but race hard. Be smart because you guys are going for the championship. Taylor doesn't have a lot to lose right now, so be smart about it, or otherwise you will regret at the end of the year. So, but first rule for us, it's don't hit each other.
Taylor is not racing for the championship. His championship is a level below the USF Pro 2000 championship, but Hauger, Hughes, Collette, all in the front 2 rows are all thinking championship this year. Remember, this start is not the start-finish line. That's where restarts will be on the short front stretch, but it's the back stretch down Jefferson Avenue. from 2 to 3. And it's this way, starting to line up 2 by 2, 10 rows. Indy NXT by Firestone. As we move into the month of June, it's time to start thinking scholarship, championship, getting to next year's Indianapolis 500. The Andretti teammates lead them to green. Let's go from Motown. Hughes will look to the outside. Hauger has the inside run. They're side by side. They bump. Headed to turn 3. Hughes trying to go the long way around. Jordan Missick has made contact back in the back. And who comes out in front? It's Hauger, and he's being challenged. Hughes is right behind by De Alba. It's Andretti. 1, 2, 3, and more carnage from behind.
Oh, that's Max Taylor's been caught up in an incident there. That complete blockage there on the exit of turn 4. Complete blockage. Wow.
Oh boy. Miles Rowe is backwards trying to go, and we will see a red flag because there is no way to get through. Some of these cars may not be damaged, just nowhere to go, but several have significant issues.
That's, tight track. I think one incident caused the other, but I mean, a lot of these guys had nowhere to go, so no harm for the people that are in the back. But like you said, now we're going to have to readjust the grids.
So we've got a few things to sort out. We're going to look at who had the lead, and we're going to look further back. Watch the red and white Able Motorsports car of Jordan Missick back there. He is by himself.
He, I think cold tires, that is a very bumpy part of the braking zone. He kind of like hit the brakes a little too hard and spun.
And then 2 corners later, that's the front 3. Colette there to 76 is for from behind. Miles Rowe, contact from Callan Hedge, the silver number 17 car. And then who else? Tommy Smith took major damage. Niels Colin in the number 10 Ganassi car. Missick a second time. That front wing was already damaged. Then Haley Deegan piles into the back of Nolan Aller. Haley's in the number 38 Monster Energy car.
Yeah, you see it there, Kevin. He just gets tagged from behind. And the problem is so many of these corners, they're completely blind. So you kind of keep going into it, hoping there's not a car there, but in this moment there was, and it ends up just creating a more of a accordion effect.
I also think I saw the 18 of Max Taylor, that pink car, take some contact. Ricardo Escoto is going to have some likely front left damage. So repairs headed on pit lane. We are under a red flag, and we'll try again shortly. From the streets of Detroit with Indy NXT. In Detroit for Indy NXT, and special guest in the booth is Tony Kanaan, winner of an Indianapolis 500 in 2013. I know you were thrilled, but there were just as many people happy for you. This guy is the one who gets the biggest cheer at Indy every year.
It never gets old. Best feeling in my life.
Did you think you had moved past it? You were like the Michael Andretti, the Sam Hanks, you were the best that had never won on that short list. And Joseph Newgarden was on that list until a couple of years ago. Had you moved past that opportunity at that point?
No, I was okay with the fact that I probably was going to have to live for the rest of my career not winning. But the way I took it that year, Kevin, it was, I'm going to enjoy it. It was supposed to be my last year there. We didn't have sponsorship. We didn't have anything. And I'm like, as long as I'm be able to be competitive and have a chance to win and put myself in that position, I'm going to go do it. And that restart there, it was still a couple laps to go. The rules were different back then. It was not a red flag to go back to green. And Jimmy Valser, my owner, said to me, don't pass the leader because you're going to get passed. It was 2 laps to go. I said, I don't want to do that because if it goes yellow.
Yeah.
And actually, I decided to go, and then it went yellow. Otherwise, I wouldn't have won that one either.
That was in, I think, your 12th 500.
Yep.
Recently, as way to go, is 22, finished top 3, and almost drove again this year. Luckily didn't. All right, we'll sort out who has damage, who needs to fix things, and when we can restart from Detroit. In Indy NXT by Firestone. Horse racing's greatest test returns as sovereignty and journalism face off in the 157th Belmont Stakes. Two of the season's biggest names, one race to settle it all. Coverage begins Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, live on Fox. We're live from downtown Detroit. Kevin Lee, Jack Harvey, Georgia Henneberry, and Tony Kanaan. Ricardo Escoto is one of those that was involved in this incident. That was at the end of the practice yesterday morning. That kept him from qualifying, started in the back and was not able to detect the carnage up ahead. And he's already out, and he's already available to talk with Georgia Henneberry.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ricardo Escoto's day is done. Was that just a product of having nowhere to go?
Yeah, you know, just really disappointed. You know, in general, it was, if I want to blame someone for this, it's myself. You know, yesterday I made a mistake in the practice and it impeded us from going out to qualifying, you know, so it really goes down to that. Yeah, just thank you to the guys for getting my car fixed up for today, and just nothing to do today, but, you know, we have to keep believing and look forward to the next race.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of work there. You see Nicholas Cape with Andretti Cape there already getting things sorted at a number 3 car. Cars have been released again after the red flag. Under full course caution. So no change in the top 2. Salvador de Alba has gone from 5th to 3rd. Kyle Collette remains in 4th. Callum Hedge has moved up a spot. And then how many have damage at this point? The 99, the 18, 16, 48, 30, 38, and 3 were all involved in that pileup.
I think you just rattled out half of the grid there, Kevin.
Close to it. Close to it. About 35%-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they had time to even fix, or the damage was too much. It's going to be a time race, right? So they need to get going.
So we will see if anyone has to dive down to pit lane. And I think we're missing about a half a dozen here at this point. Obviously, we know Escoto is one of them. I thought I saw Max Taylor take some damage, so he's shown there.
So far, like
in the back.
8 cars, I think.
Yeah.
We have 12 that I counted.
So once we get past a timeline, we'll be able to sort it.
And now another challenge for the drivers. They just did the start on the exit at 2 into 3. Now it's going to be exit at 9 into turn 1.
Great point.
A whole new dynamic that they're going to have to navigate here.
So let's see, are we going green this time? Should be. And this is going to be tight to quite tight. And again, you've got Andretti teammates in the top 2 in the championship that are there. 3rd place car, De Alba, also is not out of the championship mix. He also runs with the Andretti program. Kyle Collette is with HMD. Callum Hedge with Able Motorsports. Let's go again from the Motor City. Good restart for Hauger. He's got a little bit of a gap. Hughes is safe. De Alba is safe. The top 4. The challenge is back there with that yellow car. Juan Manuel Correa is going to think about Callum Hedge. Single file through. Does everyone make the first couple of corners? Now we're on that long backstretch where they can start to spread things out.
That exit's so critical, especially on cold tires. Turn 3 is probably the best overtaking spot on the entire track, so getting a good exit out of there really could set the scene for what's going to happen into turn 3.
It's almost like the pass there.
De Alba trying to go to the inside of Lockie Hughes. Is he up further enough? Can he switch back? No, he cannot. Hughes maintains that position. By the way, the 5th place car, Callum Hedge, not only is getting a drive-through, that's that silver car there. He is going to be held for 15 seconds for avoidable contact. He got into the back of Miles Rowe. Rowe is still shown on pit lane. He is one of those that is not able to continue. I believe we have 13 cars on the lead lap. Jordan Missick is a little gap back in 13th place now.
Kevin, like as far as a car, it's almost like such a difficult track to pass that turn 3. You almost set up your car for turn 3, because then you can protect the rest of the track and not get passed, and actually pass someone if your car is good enough there, which is a medium to high speed corner. It's one of those corners, Jack, that you go around and you always go, I could have gone quicker. It gives you that impression, but then you try and then you run out of room.
That's an exit corner where you are seeing people get as close to the wall, maybe even white walling in some moments. Oh, and that is this. Oh, if he holds it, that was an awesome move.
Side by side for second.
That's
and De Alba got it done. That's a big-time move.
Really like that. Really like that. Super aggressive. He's on this opening sequence. I would say he looks like the fastest car right now. For Lockie Hughes there, the only thing you can try and do is just keep going later, but he's also in that dirty air of Dennis. You're probably getting a little bit affected, and De Alba there saw his chance, he went for it. Teammates racing hard, you love to see it.
So how aggressive will Hughes be? He's thinking about the championship, but also understanding it's only race 5 of 14. Here it is again. Long way around, and he got far enough up, and if you can hang it on that outside, now, Tony, you have the preferred line.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a corner that is tricky because the next one is so tight that if you're on the outside there, you shouldn't dare to try to hang around because there is no room for 2 cars, and the outside guy will be definitely hanging straight and heading to the wall.
Looks like we have another confirmed retirement. Georgia.
Yeah, we heard from the beginning of the show, and this is certainly not the way we want to be talking during the show, but what happened from your perspective?
Yeah, no, just didn't get a good start there. Got a bit swarmed in turn 3, and then the guy spun ahead of me, so I had nowhere to go. Just, yeah, pretty crap day, but it is what it is. I think it's just like the nature of this track sometimes, but yeah.
And you have been released from IndyCar Medical, so you are okay?
Yeah, no, all good. No damage done to me, just the car.
Thanks, Max. That's Max Taylor.
He showed well again this weekend, though. He was quick, qualified up front, and we'll still see him a few more times. Here it is one more time. Hedge gets into row. There's Taylor just trying to get through. Nowhere to go. And, oh, yeah, big damage to the right front there.
You know, Kevin, this is a track that it's tough. If the top 3 are running together, the third guy to make a pass like De Alba did, you gotta be careful because he almost actually clipped Hogger in turn 3 there, which it kind of happened in the IndyCar race last year. So it's pretty inviting, but at the same time, it's such a hairpin there, a slow corner that you almost like, if you miss it, you're taking the leader out of the race.
Georgia, what's the update on Miles Rowe, who was hit from behind?
Well, we just heard from Max Taylor, who had heavy damage on the right front. Miles Rowe had heavy damage on the right rear, toe link, wishbone, and then they changed the nose wing on him, but he has exited pit lane now.
But unfortunately, he is about 5 laps down at this point, but there's likely to be more attrition, so points can be scored.
And, you know, in a series like this, Jack, you did this too. It's like the more laps you get, the better. I mean, obviously his day is kind of ruined, but like to go out there and put some laps to get, you don't test a lot, you're just getting ready for the next one. You're looking ahead and not what's going to happen today.
One thing, Tony, I'd love to get your perspective on push to pass.
Yep.
Right now, you're seeing the cars, they're all kind of still together. Is this the opportunity that if it was your driver right now, are you telling him, hey, like, if you can do it, like, spray the overtake just before it gets stretched out?
100%. I think the best opportunities to pass are starts and restarts. Obviously, that's why you have yellows causing yellows, because that's when everybody goes, you backed up, you all together packed up. But right now, if I was in the top 3, I would be using as much as I could to actually get up to the front, if I could get in the lead, and then I would manage that later. Saving probably, the way I would do it, tell my driver to do it, would be always save for 2 laps, no matter what, because then you don't expose yourself to the end. But until then, I would say, you know, go for it. It's tough to pass.
And for De Alba right now, he's already made a move into turn 3. He's probably feeling that confidence. He's probably got that fire in his belly that if he gets a good run off of 2, gets a good push to pass slipstream, maybe he does try and go for a dive bomb again.
Correct. I mean, and I think that is something that you talk about. The cars are pretty similar. They run similar lap times. Either you wait for somebody to make a mistake and you take the opportunity, or you're starting to put the pressure on, because running behind a car, obviously, it takes the downforce away from you, so it's not that comfortable as well. So I would keep trying to definitely clear the leader right away.
So to reset, we essentially have 11 cars that are still in the mix unless there's a caution to bunch them back up. The top 11 are somewhat running nose to tail with some gaps between them. And then you have one more car that is still on the lead lap, actually 2 more cars, Jordan Missick and then Callum Hedge. who had the drive-through and hold, is towards the tail end of the lead lap. And then Liam Skeets is a lap down. Nolan Aller and Haley Deegan are 2 laps down. Tommy Smith is 4 down. We saw Miles Rowe come out 5 laps down at this point. And then Escoto and Taylor are out. And up front, it's the way we started with Dennis Hauger, but Salvador De Alba has moved forward from 5th. He's now running 2nd ahead of Lockie Hughes. Haley Deegan is slow, maybe just letting the pack get by her because she's a couple of laps down. So the top 3 are still quite snug. There is something to be decided. There is some tire wear. Who manages the Firestones the best throughout this race? And Lockie Hughes is keeping an eye on De Alba. Might we have an overtake coming soon? We'll find out. Stay with us from the city streets of Detroit. Later today, Alex Palou looks to continue his legendary season after capturing the Indianapolis 500. The Detroit Grand Prix is today at 12:30 Eastern on Fox. Palou starting up in the front in 5th after some penalties. If he wins today, it would be 4 straight wins, 6 of 7, the last in a combined IndyCar series. So I'm not talking about Indy Racing League, kart, champ car in the late 90s, early 2000s. You have to go back to when, TK? It's before you.
I know, which is...
Al Unser Jr. in 1990 won 4 straight. Now, Sebastian Bourdais did it in 06. I know Zanardi did it in 90. I think Cristiano D'Amata did it during the split series. But we're talking 1990, the last time somebody won 4 straight where everybody was involved in the same race weekend. That is what Alex Palou is doing, and he is one of the favorites. Colton Hurd of Andretti starting on pole today, 12:30 on Fox. This is the next level below. These drivers are trying to be in this race next year and next year's Indianapolis 500 with a scholarship on the line. Kevin Lee, Jack Harvey, and Arrow McLaren team principal, former Indy Lights champion, now INDY NXT. Tony Kanaan is joining us along with Georgia Henneberry. Dennis Hauger is the championship leader. He has led from the start. His Andretti teammate, Salvador De Alba, has gotten to 2nd. Lockie Hughes, though, looks like he has some pace. He is running in 3rd, and Kyle Collette's not too far back either. And how about Juan Manuel Correa? Chatted with him on the grid. He got a deal put together very late. He was thinking about IndyCar later in the year and had a chat with Mike Marini at HMD at Barber Motorsports Park, and Mike said, hey, we've got a seat open. Would you like to go on the road course? So no testing, in cold, few mechanical issues. That was really a test session against everybody. Here in weekend number 2, he's starting to find his feet.
He absolutely is, and also he's got a lot of experience racing on street circuits. Coming into this weekend in Detroit, a lot of the drivers today actually hadn't driven here, so for him it was probably a bit more of a level playing field, allowed him to get used to the car at the track at the same time. Indy Road Course is a track that a lot of people have driven at, so that was jumping into the deep end. He's done a really good job this weekend. The brakes were the biggest thing I think he was struggling with. Back on steel brakes, he's used to carbon brakes. What I mean by that is just the actual material of the discs, the pads, they're different. What it means for the driver on your foot is just a feeling thing. So he's clearly getting more and more comfortable with that, and he's doing a really good job.
I mean, obviously he had a terrible accident a few years ago, so he's still coming back, I think, Jack. And like you said, you know, even the brakes are a big difference. You know, even like to give people a little bit of an idea, it's basically the way the brakes, like the grip, the bite. So one stops more than the other. They both stop, obviously, but you have to be extremely sensitive to that. And with no testing, new car, new tracks for him, I think he's pretty smart, very experienced. He's probably pacing himself in the top 5 there to be able to build it up for, you know, the later races in the year.
Correa had to learn to re-walk again, not just to mention drive a race car. He had many issues, and certainly the mental challenge in the crash that he was involved in F2. And it's a great comeback story, and it continues, and it's good to have him back in America. And he's going to do quite a few more races. Also some sports car LMP2 races on the schedule, and that's kind of being worked out with the conflicts. By the way, Miles Rowe is not going to be able to continue. They tried to turn some more laps, but the wishbone gave up, so Rowe has parked with 7 laps complete, will be scored in 18th place today. And look at James Rowe, who needed something to happen today. He started in the back with a crash in qualifying, had a crash in the opening minutes of practice, and is making the most of it. +9 into the top 10 in that Top Con car. Bryce Aaron has done nice to move forward. He has moved 6 spots up. Seb Murray, 4. Jack William Miller up to 7th. 3 better than what he started.
I mean, Jack, I think we see here the
Nolan Aller on the escape.
The 27 and then 26, which is Alba and Hughes. I think Hughes has a faster car on a lap time, and Alba has a better car out of 3. He can't pass him.
We were just talking about that, and this is where you're seeing the 11 does the smart thing here. He clearly isn't going to make the corner. Better off going through the runoff, turn the car around, get going again. But going back to what you were saying, TK, Hughes has looked quicker. He is on him through the twisty, tight parts of the track. However, the Alba's getting a really good exit on what is going to be the most critical part of the track because it's the best overtaking spot. He's going to have that confidence that he knows he can be good on the brake. That's where he got by. But man, these cars right now, this is probably the closest I feel like I've seen the front 3 be 17 laps into the race.
They are extremely equal. And then I would say, I think at this point, it's easier for the Alba because he only has to worry about making turn 3 and he will be able to defend. So we'll see. He's putting a lot of pressure on him.
Front 3 have gapped just a little bit. Collette's not too far behind. You see him back there in the blue and green and white 76 car. Here's a great shot.
And you know who is happy with that fight 2nd and 3rd there, right?
Yeah. Dennis Hauger is quite content right now. This reminds me, Jack, a little bit of St. Pete, where he just seemed to control and go as fast as he needed to go.
Oh, for sure. Dennis is so comfortable leading. He's got a lot of experience. He seems very okay letting this battle obviously play out. 2 wide behind. Here we go. Let's see what happens.
For second,
around the outside, maybe. Oh, tiny bit of contact on the exit there.
I think so. Let's see if there's any damage. De Alba was not going to give that up.
He's going to have some marbles on his tires there. A little bit have to clean up.
You think everything's fine with that there, Tony? If that was your car's battling?
I was not going to be happy if I was, you know, the outside guy. Kind of like it was a little bit of a contact that looks like the damage, but he ran him wide a little bit on purpose, right? Tried to like
Look at that front wing flapping.
Yeah.
He did not make wall contact, but there was a little bit of left front tire contact to the rear of the De Alba car.
Front wing looks okay.
Not so good for De Alba, though.
Said it too soon.
Well, Hughes looks okay.
That's interesting, though, because it would have been Lockie's front wing and his rear tire, so I don't know where the Alba's front wing damage has come, but it's also rubbing on that front tire.
Yeah, he's wounded. He's wounded. So Hughes goes by.
Oh, we're going for another battle.
But still not ready to give it up, running wide, and that might open the door for Kyle Collette. Collette is going to be able to get Hughes in this fashion, or at least give it a go. And Correa's right there, too. This is 2, 3, 4, and 5, while Dennis Hauger sprints away, now up to nearly 4 seconds down the road.
Kevin, that was a really critical pass for Lockie Hughes to get back by Collette there. If the Alba's got damage, that tire is definitely rubbing on the wing. We'll see how he got that damage, which is our replay now. Exit turn 1.
That is a big hit.
Oh, that's a big hit. That's not glancing the wall. That's like, I'm kind of surprised that, you know, front tire hasn't taken like suspension damage.
The steering must be bent. It was a big hit.
To maintain this advantage, even for a lap, is mighty impressive. Dallara built a strong Indy NXT car.
That was a very, very aggressive move. Again, and I'm for it. He was under control. He really knew what he was going to do. But when you've seen a car that's got, you know, just hit the wall that much, you know, wings rubbing the tire, front wings all over the place at this point, like, fair play to him for really being that aggressive.
Between that front wing damage and what's damaging the tire, he's going to lose a lot of front grip at some point. I think he's probably going to, you know, fight a lot of understeer.
So then if you're Lockie Hughes now, you're looking at this, are you trying to be patient or are you trying to attack? Because this isn't the battle for the lead. Dennis Hauger is stretching right now over 4 seconds. It feels like it went from a few tenths of a second to 4 seconds in a lap and a half.
I would give you a quick advice and just wait, because it's going to come back to you. There's no point fighting him because the leader is so far ahead that it's not even a point that you're going to have a chance to fight the leader unless it goes yellow. So, and you can tell how the Alba has been pretty aggressive trying to defend. I would be patient.
Want to keep an eye on lap times, though, and De Alba is still running the same lap times as Hughes and a little bit quicker than Collette. Can that survive the rest of this race? We'll find out soon from Detroit. Welcome back to Indy NXT by Firestone from the Detroit Grand Prix as we continue to watch two wounded cars. One appears to be massively wounded. Battle for second and third, while Dennis Hauger has ripped out a plus 5 second lead. And here is just a moment ago, De Alba, who already has the front wing damage. And you see that right front Firestone, the wing is rubbing a groove into it. How has he managed to stay in front? Last time by, Lucky Hughes almost got him here. Tries again.
Sit now.
Can't do it, and now they've told De Alba to pit.
It's unsafe, so that's why. That thing goes under the car, he will go straight to the wall.
And it's also impacting a teammate right behind him as well, because Kyle Collette is going to try to take advantage of this and swoop by both of them. Correa is right there in the mix. 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't find Dennis Hauger. He has checked out at this point as they have all stacked up. There is De Alba coming in. Let's see if there's any chance they can change this and keep him on the lead lap. That is very difficult. It's a short pit lane. It's a short lap, but there are normally not pit stops in this series. So we'll check back in on De Alba in a moment. So now it's Hughes back up to second where he started. Collette, Correa, and Josh Pearson into the top 5.
That's a real shame for him there, because he actually was, if he could have finished that position, that would have been his career best in Indy NXT. So that's a shame. You never want to see a race play out that way. It did look like an unforced error. I think we were all impressed at how the car withstood the impact. So now, if you're Lucky Hughes, you got 7 seconds, about 20 laps. Tony, is there any chance that he catches him up?
If there is not a yellow, I don't think so, Jack. I think he's being pretty dominant in the front. He's controlling the pace. 7 seconds, do the math. He can actually play safe, 2, 3 tenths a lap, and still drive at 80% and not make any mistakes. But since Indy NXT, IndyCar can go yellow, and that advantage can go away. So right now, I think if I was leading, I wouldn't be thinking any of that. I'll be thinking it's still a few laps to go. I'm just going to drive my race and try to control things that I can't control.
Last lap time, Hauger backed off. He may have been dealing with some lap traffic. It's almost like a sports car race for him at this point, but Hughes was 9/10 of a second faster to cut into that gap. But for Lucky Hughes, his goal is finishing second. Just stay in front of Kyle Collette is going to be a win, considering that floppy front wing and the contact that he's taken.
I truly think that fight there, Jack, they probably both got some marbles on the tires, and that probably forced, the error, and then him missing the braking point and hitting the wall.
It's a really good point, because also you think about where the track grip is right now. Making a move is so difficult because you go off of line. Not many people have been there, therefore it's not rubbered in. You pick up some marbles, they were too wide. In a hairpin where the marbles always end up just pushing wider and wider, they're driving through it. It probably does take a few laps to clean them again.
And with the hot tires, when we say about marbles, it's little bit of pieces of tire, and the tires being hot, they attract all that to the tire, right? And they both ran pretty wide because they're trying to kind of like block each other, and I'm wondering if that's what happened.
And Kevin, only to echo something you just said, that when I said it was 7 seconds, it's 5.5 seconds. They are rapidly catching up Dennis Hauger right now.
He's dealt with some traffic, but not really now. I think he's just either he's got an issue or he's just backed it up, and they've said, you're up by 6, 7 seconds. Just bring the car home and you should be safe. The only thing that hurts him is a caution.
I don't know, when you're in a rhythm and the team say, hey, why don't you just slow down? Like, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I'm in a rhythm. I'm just pushing. So I would be interested if there's been any radio communication between the pit stand and Dennis Hauger, because this is starting to, really catch him up.
So we'll keep an eye on the 28 radio. In the meantime, let's hear what Lucky Hughes is talking about on his radio.
You can use a little bit of burst if you need to, but try to do it without using too much. He has 50 seconds more than you, Collette, behind you.
Yeah, so they're focused on that battle. And Dennis Hauger, by the way, has not used a whole lot. He still has 112 seconds left. Hughes has 73. Collette has 123 remaining.
I think the leader is just playing with us.
And he just, by the way, turned to 106.9, so he turned it down a little bit. But Lucky Hughes just did the second fastest lap of the race, 106.2. Only Salvador De Alba, who is back out, possibly with better Firestone, so he just turned the fastest lap of the race. And De Alba looks like he is a lap down, so he did fall off the lead lap.
But even though Lockie's shoes might have been burning some push to pass, this gap is actually evaporated a little bit quicker. Now it seems to be stabilizing a little bit, but not really. He's still down to 4.5 now. So no doubt Dennis probably saving his push to pass, probably saving his tires. But I don't think you would just give up 3 seconds worth of track position. So I feel like this race is still very much in play.
And then again, category yellow and all that could be scratched out. So hopefully he has more push to pass than anybody else. So he's probably thinking about not the advantage on the lead, but also if it goes yellow, then he can push all the way to the end. Obviously, we heard the 26 car say, hey, use a little bit of a boost to push to pass to try to catch up, but then Caio didn't, and Caio has more now. So we're gonna probably see a battle by the end of the race. It's 3 different strategies there. One is controlling the field, one is attacking, and the other one, the third place, is just watching to see what's gonna happen.
Lucky Hughes keeps going faster, so does De Alba, but he's not on the lead lap. Can Hughes reel in Dennis Hauger? We've still got some time remaining. Indy next, leading up to IndyCar today from Detroit. Back in downtown Detroit. Top 2 in the championship, or top 2 in this race so far. There's always preparation to get ready before. Kevin Lee, Jack Harvey, Tony Kanaan. As we see Dennis Hauger getting repped and ready to go. And here is the battle throughout the season. All right, what's the warm-up for you, TK?
That there will cramp my thighs, and I could not grab any of those tennis balls. So it's a nap. It used to be a nap. 20-minute nap.
Okay, Jack.
Nap.
You're a triathlete, mate. I've seen you do some of the most impressive physical things ever.
Right, so I don't need to do a triathlon before I jump in the car, like 5 minutes before. You warm up on the warm-up lap.
Look at the lap traffic. You don't often see this, but because of the issues and 7 cars involved in a lap 1 pileup, we have multiple cars laps down. At this point, we have 13 on the lead lap. Miles Rowe did just come back out. They repaired that wishbone. He's down some 23 laps, but it's about experience. So they can learn some things, could help you for later racing in the season and certainly for next year too.
And if you're Lockie Hughes, this was everything that you were hoping to see. Something happened to Dennis that brought him back to you. Now, that being said, Lockie still got through this traffic the same way that Dennis has had to. But this is what you're hoping for. Without a yellow to pull everybody back together, there's Dennis throwing it up the inside of his teammate into turn 5. But this is, from a race perspective, this is what you're hoping for.
Yeah, you want to put cars in between you and the next guy, right? So you're making it more difficult. So that's to protect your lead.
And Dennis Hauger is starting to lap people that I'm not aware of having issues. That does not happen in a no pit stop race. He just got by James Rowe. You saw De Alba mixing up there, but he's a lap down as well, but is super fast after coming out with some repairs. So now we see the 26 of Lockie Hughes trying to navigate his way through traffic. We saw a sports car race here yesterday. This has turned to a sports car race here today. Let's hear what the 26 team is saying.
Ryan, stay off the button. You're Dennis 112, you 68, Kyle 123.
And they want to save it in case there is a restart.
I think that's a really sensible play, honestly. And also, that communication from driver to pit stand, that's so critical because you need to know that. I mean, he doesn't know how much push to pass the cars around him have. So just that little bit of extra communication and info, you know, really goes a long way. And also, just one interesting note here, James Rowe, who's unfortunately getting lapped, is he going to now maybe hold up Caio Collet? Maybe let his teammate just stretch his legs a little bit? I'm just spitballing. I don't know, but, you know, maybe.
Maybe. I think in junior formula racing, you're still just racing. You're doing your race and making the best of it that you can. By the way, De Alba got back on the lead lap. De Alba is just ahead of Hauger. So if there is a caution, that's a fast car, and he can't win, but he can pick up some more positions.
I would say that he let his teammate by quite easily, and several corners later, he's still
just
there.
Holding 4 corners, like conveniently.
It's difficult to overtake in that spot.
Yeah.
No, I think that is accurate. I think you do let your teammates by, and then you just race from then on.
I have to say, though, the way I saw those 3 guys running in the front and racing, I'm not sure they're that good of a friends, but you don't have to be friends. You're racing.
That's actually a really interesting point, Tony. How, because you're such a personable guy.
Yeah.
We chat about this at dinner at Indy, such a mentor for so many people, but how then do you really balance being a mentor to so many guys, but also helmet goes on and then suddenly it's time to go racing?
Jack, I look at my career, the teammates that I had, I'm going to mention a few that they're tough ones. Zanardi, Dan Weldon, Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou. I had guys that, it's funny to say that I was probably the least successful of my teammates, you know, but I was still pretty successful. So we had an agreement that we race each other hard but fair. Now, the way we saw those 2 guys, the 26 and the 27, fighting there, I wouldn't have done that to a teammate. I running him really wide unless, you know, you kind of miss the breaking point, and that, you know how we play games like that. That there, to me, it was rough racing, but that I wouldn't do to a guy that I like, right? Or a teammate, because we had a pretty good relationship. I'm not trying to be cheesy, I'm not trying to say I got along with everyone, but I was pretty lucky to have fast guys. We race each other extremely hard, and we didn't want any different.
And Tony, in all fairness, I mean, you've had a career that someone like myself is exceptionally envious of. Champion, Indy 500 champion. The drivers that you rattled off, obviously, well, I mean, what a fantastic group of people that no doubt exceptionally proud to have raced with, to be friends with. But I mean, you're an Indy 500 champion, bro.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at it that way, they want, we all won, but they want more. But it is more or less like, but what I'm saying is, like, we can still be extremely competitive. And we won with the same teams in different years, so it can be done.
And how do you see your current IndyCar team of Nolan, Christian, Pato? How's their dynamic? What's their vibe?
Their vibe, they're not friends, which is fine. I mean, you know, Christian wants to beat Pato. It's Pato's team, quote unquote. They're extremely respectful. Nolan is the rookie, so he's there like trying to learn as much as he can. But between Pato and Christian is very healthy and productive for the team. Are they friends like I was with Dario or Dixon? No, but that is just also Christian is new to the team, but they work really well together, and that's all I'm going to ask for, because they're making each other better.
And when you mentioned Nolan Siegel, he was racing in this race in Indy Next last year, and within a month, he's driving IndyCar for Arrow McLaren. So Tony Kanaan is here helping us with the broadcast, but also keeping an eye on talent for future possibilities. This race we've been watching here, none of those are for position, and the yellow car, Juan Manuel Correa, got through that lap traffic. He is running fourth. Now he'll see if there's any way he can chase down the podium. And as they dealt with lap traffic, it got down to 2.5 seconds. But Lockie Hughes, who has more damage, so that wing has given up. He was catching, falling. Now he's in big trouble and is not going to be able to make it.
Can hear the desperation on his voice.
Is there any way he can limp that around for 7 laps to get a result? I don't see how. Colette sweeps by for second. There's the black flag. He has to pit.
Man, and they made it so exciting. The gap got to about 4 seconds. Actually, I think at one point he got to 2.8.
It did.
When Dennis was navigating that traffic. And then I was just thinking, wow, he's really stretched it again. That's such a shame for Lockie Hughes there.
And a huge hit in the championship. He came in only 15 points behind Dennis Hauger. They both picked up a point for being the fastest in their qualifying session.
He doesn't want to pit, and they're telling him to pit, which I see. But see, Jack, look at this. Those two guys fought really hard, but they both lost the race because of a hard fight. At this point, this is a learning series. This is the days that you learn the most. As you know, they could be wondering, was one position worth entire race? They both were going to be in the podium. The only happy person right now is the leader.
And he's also the guy who seems to be really mature. He made an aggressive move, but he also didn't crash into his teammate Lockie Hughes at Indy Road Course when they went side by side. And to be honest, Tony, you're still hearing Lockie talking about, you know,
he said it's still on. I don't want to pit.
But you also referenced it, Kevin. From my perspective, it's not safe. You know, it's rubbing on the tire sometimes. If it goes under the car, that's a really dangerous scenario. And actually, pieces of it now falling off.
And now Juan Manuel Correa just ran over that, so keep an eye on his Firestones to make sure there's not any kind of a puncture. That's why the call has been made. Hughes bails out, misses out on a podium. Hauger is checked out and is in position to lap the field up through about 8th. He was right behind Callum Edge and Salvador De Alba just a moment ago. How quick can they do this? Any chance to keep him on the lead lap?
He would have had a better shot at staying on it if he'd have hit the lap before.
Lost time.
The thing, again, we talked about it, that communication. When you're in the driver's seat, and Tony, you'll know this better than anybody else, you only know what you're doing. You kind of lose touch with everybody else, what's happening, how the big picture is playing out. And that's one of the moments where maybe he lost 4 seconds on that previous lap. You don't know what the knock-on and the ripple effect of that can be.
And Jack, that's what's really important. It's a good point, because the timing stand can see a lot more than we can in the car. And that there, he actually disobeyed a order, but not because they want him to pit, because they knew exactly what you said. So he'll probably be regretting. But that is, again, it's Indy Next. That's what you do. That's what you do to learn. And that is actually a way to learn the hard way.
Let's look through the field a little bit. So we've seen the front runners. There is Kyle Collette, who's moved up to second. Opportunity for him to continue his championship hopes here. He is now 11 plus seconds behind Dennis Hauger. Juan Manuel Correa in that yellow car just coming into view. Great day for him. A chance at a podium in his second weekend racing in this series and this type of car. Next, you see the green and white number 14 Tiger Plywood car of Josh Pearson, who is on for his best result of the season. That would be the best of his career, which is in its 3rd season. Jack William Miller is a little further back, past some of this lap traffic. Top 5 for Miller. His best finish so far in his 2 years is 8th. There is Miller in the blue Patterson Dental car, and we have one facing the wrong way at the exit of 2. And we have a caution, and if there's time to restart, it could change things significantly. And Jordan Missick had big damage, tried to keep it going, plowed it in again. Had a rough day, and Missick had stayed on the lead lap. That's what he was trying to do. He was running in the top 8. He actually was running 7th after being involved in 2 contacts on the opening lap. On his way to a great recovery, and unfortunately it goes away, and we are yellow. Is there time for a restart? Will time come into play?
So that'll be lap 43. They might.
I think it's going to be very unlikely to be able to
because
restart.
they need to pack up
Yeah.
one to go. I think he's going to finish on the yellow.
Something to echo what you both have referenced. Saving some push to pass, saving some tire, just in case this exact scenario happens.
Correct.
Which is maybe why we did see Dennis starting to, you know, relax a little bit, and that's such a shame. Just lost it as he was applying power, glances the inside wall there.
He was trying to push to pass like the guy in front and got
And I
outside.
think that was that a lapped car or was that for position? And I understand why he hit the wall again, because he's thinking, well, it's going to be caution. I could maybe just limp home and still finish 7th or 8th.
Well, this entire race to me, if you were coaching someone, you would look at this and go, just be patient.
Which I was going to mention, Correa, right? That's all he
Absolutely.
did. And Kyle as well. They didn't fight, they let the people fight, and that's how you win championships, right?
I would love it if there was time, if they could move some of the lap cars to the back and have a final lap shootout. And even Caio Collet, a guy who, when they were battling, teammates battling 2 wide, he just let them do their thing. And then they both end up with a little bit of damage. They have to pit for front wing changes. Now he's in the position that really they could have been. Tony, how do you as a driver bounce back from knowing that, knowing it was within your control, and maybe you just didn't play it the right way?
That was probably one of the hardest things for me to cope as a driver. You know, like as a driver, you always, he's borrowing a nose from another team.
Well, that's a teammate's car. That's Callum Hedges' car, another Able Motorsports car. But yeah, they don't match. There's only so many front wings available, and I think he probably already went through one. Yeah, he did at the start of this race. So that's it. This is his 2nd front wing.
And Jack, to me, I don't know if he was psychologically, when it was out of my control, I felt better. Although the end result's the same.
Yeah, same.
But I really, really hated it when I left something in the table. And those are the times that you take like sleepless nights, 2 or 3 nights, and you wake up in the morning and you still like not liking your life right now. And then for me, I did that, but then I put a limit on. It's time to just, that's over, it's past, what can I learn?
We might restart. I think they are attempting to restart, and they are sending the lap cars through the pit lane, just like they do in IndyCar towards the end of the race. And I believe we are down to 8 on the lead lap. De Alba is back on the lead lap, and you know he is fast. He has been running fast laps, pitted early for damage, got a better set of Firestones. So we've got Hauger, Collet, Correa, Pearson, Miller, Murray, Lockie Hughes stayed on the lead lap, and then De Alba. Those are the 8.
What's wild about this, Kevin, from my perspective, when you're a driver, doing a potentially green-white checkered is just a disaster.
Yes.
Tires come down, you know, it's carnage again potentially. However, when I put my broadcasting hat on and I'm just sat in here, you know, having a great conversation with you guys, when we thought we were going to get to go green again, my arms were in the air waving. I was happy that we were going to see these races finish. So crazy how quickly that perspective shifts from being happy to sad, depending on what, you know, hat I'm wearing on that day.
It is going to be a 1-lap dash. They will see the white flag on the short front stretch pit side straightaway. Dennis Hauger has dominated this race. He was up by 11 some seconds before, but Caio Collet has a faster overall lap in this race than Hauger does. Juan Manuel Correa in that yellow car in 3rd. The green and white is Pearson. The blue car is Miller running in 5th. And Murray, Hughes, and DeAlba. Let's go for one lap, 1.6 miles on the city streets of Detroit. It's a great restart for Dennis Hauger. Colette is pedaling, and they're fanning out behind, trying to manage and find a position. Miller has all kinds of damage. Hughes is charging through to the inside, the 26 car, trying to stay and salvage some points in the championship.
Flag.
That's
Keep
Murray,
going.
the 2 car, also has damage. Hughes is going to get another spot. Hughes can end up in the top 5. Meanwhile, Colette's still in range. Hughes and Murray make contact. Hughes is through. Miller is still going. DeAlba is in the wall. His comeback drive ends. Let's focus back up at the front. Halfway home, more than halfway home on this final lap. Colette by 2 car lengths. Stretching it, 3, 4, 5. Couple of turns to go. Back up the hill. The Norwegian nightmare continues to dominate 2025 with 3 and 5 tries. Hauger is 1 on the concrete of Detroit.
I was holding my breath here. I'm not good at this.
We were just watching it. Kevin, you navigated that perfect. We were just here, kind of arms in the air, kind of, oh, they're going to crash, they're not going to crash. You did awesome on that final
See,
lap.
Jack, there are things that only some people can do, and Kevin not ever driven a race car was
really-
not panicking like us.
I'm really
we
good at
couldn't
rental
speak.
go-karts.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's why you are who you are, and we are who we are, because I could not talk.
There was front wings off, missing, people still crashing. That was a wild
So now I
final lap.
rely on you guys to tell me how it happened.
So how
These are
it
the
happened? Here's the deal: restart with 1 to go. Everybody thought they could win the race. That's it. That's a chance, right? And the guys behind say, I can win a position, and I'm going to try, and then they be aggressive.
So let's sort through some things. DeAlba, the 27, as the 26 and the 2 come together. Those, by the way, are all team cars.
He got touched a little bit. He was aggressive on the outside and got pushed.
There's just no room there.
Yeah, the 2.
And some of these cars in this mix, the 10 and the 9, are not on the lead lap, the Ganassi cars. And DeAlba went from battling for second to thinking he was out of it to getting back on the lead lap for a chance at a top 5. And Lucky Hughes was in the same situation. He does finish in the top 5.
Good recovery.
And cut about 6-7 points off that championship lead. It stands at 38 at the moment for Dennis Hauger. But how about Dennis Hauger? The first since Alex Lloyd in 2007 to win at this type of level. Hauger has won 4 of 5 to start this season.
Josh Pearson had a really nice day there in P4. Maybe flew under the radar a little bit, but probably did what we all were talking about, and that was be patient. Let the race play out, let it come to you, take the positions. I didn't see how many on-track overtakes he made, but I mean, he started 8th and finished 4th. Got to be pretty happy with that.
Good days for many. Sebastian Murray gets his best finish. Jack William Miller, despite being involved in the contact at the end, comes home 7th. That's his best. But the day again belongs to Dennis Hauger. 4 of 5, Georgia, to start 2025.
We are having deja vu down here on pit lane. Dennis Hauger jumps out of his car, and congratulations from his team all around, and well deserved. As you said, Kevin, 4 of 5 for Dennis Hauger. You had a sizable lead until that yellow came out. How were you able to re-strategize and keep your lead and get there at the end?
Yeah, the tires, they cool down really quickly, so that last lap was sketchy. But I think I heated up the tires nicely, and we got a good gap out to the back straight. So, yeah, super happy with that. We kept it clean, and yeah, we got a good win today, so happy about it.
The dominance continues for Dennis Hauger. Congratulations.
He had to fight for the pole yesterday with his teammate. Well done, championship in good shape right now, plus 38. Still a long way to go. ahead of Lockie Hughes and Kyle Collette, 84 back. Tony Kanaan, it's been great to have you. Thanks so much for adding your expertise.
No, thank you guys. A pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I think this race gave us a little bit of a warm-up, what we're going to see this afternoon. So now I'm going to go freak out in my timing stand instead of the TV booth.
Good luck with the day job a little later on. Jack, this has been fun.
This has been absolutely amazing. Tony, thank you so much. Kevin, you were awesome on those final laps.
We've got plenty more to come. Jack and I are headed to pit lane. IndyCar on Fox, 12:30 airtime. About a 12:50 green flag. Colton Herta on the pole. Alex Palou trying to continue his run of dominance and back up his Indy 500 win. For Georgia Henneberry, Jack Harvey, Tony Kanaan, I'm Kevin Lee. Congratulations. Dennis Hauger wins again in Indy NXT.